The cult behavior happens when an imperfect human receives unquestioned authority, and therefore the members go to sleep. How is it that they go to sleep? They go to sleep because they stop doing what 1 John 4:1 says. Test all inspired expressions. Instead of that, they're transferred into 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 to 12, in a man of lawlessness situation where the leader is set up as God. So therefore, what he's saying is being accepted without question. And as it brings out that, these members sharing their wickedness in this wickedness because they don't have a love for the truth. See, truth requires work. You cannot just listen to an imperfect human and just say, okay, whatever that person says. No, it doesn't work that way. Truth requires diligent effort to verify what is being said, whether it can be proved, whether it's scripturally true or not, where it's based on the facts. So every time an imperfect human says something, if you're not testing, if you're not making sure in some way that it's true or not, then you're being deceived. And you're no doubt in a cult. And cults are always dangerous. You look at some of the more recent cults, they're small ones, but they are an example of the dangerous nature of cults. You look at Jonestown, what happened there, over 1,000, close to 1,000 people lost their lives. Heaven's Gate, the many people were found dead in San Diego in that room, just taking poison because their leader told them to do it. That is demonic. That reminds us when the demons asked Jesus to let them go into the pigs, when he cast them out of that one guy that could not be shackled. And he told them, go ahead. And what's the first thing they did? They ran those pigs off the cliff. Look at MAGA, how they assaulted the Capitol on January 6th. Look at that. That was all cult behavior based on a lie. They listened to their leader. He told them this. They believed it. They didn't do any verifying, because if they'd done verifying and checking, they found out all of that was a lie. But they didn't want to hear that. They just want to hear what they wanted to hear, whatever their cult leader told them to do. And after they were prosecuted, some of them said, I shouldn't have listened to him about that. But they did, and they suffered the result. Because law doesn't matter. Right doesn't matter. It's all about what the cult leader says, and that's it. So whenever cult leaders and cults get in charge of anything in your life, that's a dangerous situation. It's always dangerous, because imperfect humans should never have that kind of power, unchecked authority. Why? Because we're imperfect. And if we're not willing to accept correction, if we're not willing to accept it, then we're going to bump it up to arrogance. And that's going to bring about a lot of problems. And that's usually what cult leaders do. It's arrogance now. It's about, I got my little kingdom, and I'm going to do whatever I want to do, without concern for facts or truth or how it affects others. As I was talking to one of the Watchtower Witnesses elders, I asked him, do they continue to do as 1 John 4:1 says, testing every inspired expression? Or has that not required anymore? It was interesting, his answer was like, he had not really thought about it that way. And I was trying to help him appreciate that such a test would not be ceremonial, it would not be ritual, it would be a real test, because how can you test something in reality if you don't have the thought that what is being tested could be wrong? See, that takes it to a whole new level. And cults don't like that. Cults don't like their members testing what their cult leader says. That's why you'll find cult leaders attacking education, any real fact-finding, fact-checking, anyone that overlooks them that could say, no, you got something wrong. They don't like that. And so they'll try to eradicate that out of their environment and make sure that their members only listen to what they're saying. And so eventually it comes to a halt. Eventually, there's going to be a reckoning. There's going to be a dangerous result from that. As Jesus said, the blind leading the blind, both will fall into the pit. Now imagine that. Think about it. You're a blind person, and you go out and get somebody unqualified to lead you. Someone also who's blind. Okay, so you went and got this person. They're leading you around. Guess what? You're going into the pit. Not only is your leader going in the pit, you're going in there with him, because you would actually do that in enlisting someone who is unqualified to lead. And so now you have gone about this matter in a blind way. You don't want to see, you don't want to hear. You don't know, you don't want to know. So that means you got to suffer the penalty. And the only way you can save yourself is detach yourself from such a person and begin to be a fact finder. Do as the Bible says, to make sure of all things. I don't care how charismatic or how entertaining value they may have, you're not going to take truth in such an unserious way. You're going to make sure, no matter what the jokes are or how entertaining the person may be, you're going to make sure where they're giving you the truth. So when we become fact checkers, then we cannot, it's very hard for us to be cult members. We don't fit in that environment because we're always checking. And the thing is about this, when you have the truth, you have freedom. Because Jesus said the truth will set you free. And you will never fit into a cult environment. You'll never fit. You just won't fit. Because while they're spewing their propaganda, you're fact checking, you're making sure. And eventually, they're going to want you out the group because you're that light, but they want to remain in darkness. But if you're going to put your trust in men like that, then you're under a curse. As the book of Jeremiah says, you're under a curse by God. But if you're going to be noble-minded, you want to avoid that curse, then you have to be like the Bereans, checking the scriptures daily to see if these things are so. You bow before the King, Jesus Christ, as your leader, and you don't let anyone take the place of Jesus.